The President today sent a proclamation letter that officially terminated the term of the 8th Assembly to the Clerk of the National Assembly. According to the Clerk of the National Assembly, Mr. Muhammad Sani Omolori, the President's letter formally announced the termination of the term of the 8th Assembly with effect from midnight of Saturday, June 8th, while the 9th Senate will begin on Tuesday, June 11th. The President's letter is in line with the dictates of Section 64, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, which is empowered to issue a proclamation for the holding of the first session of the National Assembly immediately after it is sworn in. The proclamation letter from the President precedes a valedictory session held by both chambers of the National Assembly today. That proclamation from the President signaled the end of the 8th Assembly, with the lawmakers in both chambers holding a valedictory session today. The 8th Assembly prides itself as an assembly that has defended the country's democracy and surpassed the records of all previous assemblies. Our National Assembly correspondents, Larry Lasisi and Terry Kumi, witnessed the valedictory session of both the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Senate President Bukola Saraki arrives for the last plenary of the 8th Senate. The Senate is holding its valedictory session as the 8th Assembly wraps up.
Scrutiny is very important.
One after the other, senators speak about the past 4 years as federal lawmakers.
This Senate, therefore, today is a united Senate, and all of us are of like minds.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I bow today as first female minority leader in the annals of history of the legislature.
We started together. We were doing fine. We had issues. We had misunderstanding. But I believe that is part of the learning process.
We have learned some lessons, and I hope that those lessons will move democracy forward.
The 8th Senate will be remembered for quite a number of reasons, one of which is the invasion of its chambers by thugs in April 2018.
That fateful day, when this particular Senate was invaded by hoodlums who came and took our mess, the ordinary staff of this assembly fought back. The clerks, the sergeant-at-arms, the messengers.
To wrap up the session, the Senate President speaks of some of the achievements of the Senate beyond passing the highest number of bills.
We define ourselves by the belief that we fought for democracy, held government to account, and made personal sacrifices. For some of us, sacrifices are still being made, owing to the fallouts of some of the decisions taken.
He has a word for the 9th Senate and receives the applause of the senators.
Let me appeal to those of you who are coming back. The support that you gave me, please give it to the next Senate President, because whoever the next Senate President is, he's one of us. He's part of us. And it is in the interest of the institution that this institution stays strong. It is when our institution is strong that democracy is strong. I thank you all. Thank you, my colleagues. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Then he adjourns the Senate.
The Senate of the 8th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria hereby stand adjourned, Senate die.
The tenure of the 8th Senate has officially ended. In a few days, the 9th Senate will be inaugurated, and all eyes will be on them to see whether or not they learned anything from the 8th Senate, and whether they are prepared to build on some of the successes of the 8th Senate and to exert their authority as the Parliament of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News, and I'll hand you over to my colleague Larry Lasisi in the House of Representatives.
Thank you, Terry. In the House of Representatives, it was a proper event indeed. Dignitaries were invited, former speakers, former principal officers, former clerks of the House of Representatives were all invited.
Former lawmakers who are now governors also graced the event. The mood is reflective and full of thanksgiving. It is a time for speeches from the lawmakers.
This place brings out the best in us, and it also has the capacity to bring out the worst in us. It is also a place for learning, Mr. Speaker. There is need for the executive to have respect for the rule of law, to also ensure that the three arms of government keep to their limit and there is respect whereby we can at least forge ahead.
And from former presiding officers.
It's about goodwill. It's about wishing all of us well. It's about urging all of us to sustain the image, the unity, the togetherness of this house.
For the incoming ones, you must give them support. No inhibition. You should not please harbor any animosity in such a way that it will affect the solidity of this honorable house.
The highlight of the event is the valedictory speech by the Speaker of the House.
With our collective efforts and commitment, we have deepened and grown democracy with the passage of a total of 382 bills, 76 of which have been assented to by the President. We surpassed the record of the Houses of Representatives that preceded us. Ironically, the 8th National Assembly also holds the record as the most persecuted and harassed parliament ever in Nigeria's history. Progress ceases the very day we cease to disagree. Every invention, every innovation has always come from someone who disagreed with the status quo. No parliament anywhere can win a popularity contest, and parliaments are not meant to receive praise. Any parliament that receives praise, especially from the executive, must be an assemblage of enablers who have abandoned fidelity to their oath of office.
The lawmakers then have a valedictory handshake with the Speaker before leaving the chamber for the last time. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
Staying with the National Assembly and its politics, one more contender dropped out of the race for the Senate President in the 9th National Assembly today. Senator Danjuma Goje says he is stepping down and has agreed to endorse Senator Ahmed Lawan for the position. The Governor of Kaduna State, Mr. Nasir El-Rufai, disclosed this at a briefing that he and the two lawmakers met with President Buhari over the Senate leadership. And Senator Goje has agreed to step down in favor of Senator Lawan. Meanwhile, Senator Goje says he has deferred to the choice of the President and the APC and that his support is born out of personal conviction and love for the party.
An elder man, because I've been in this game for a long time. By my age, I should be able to appreciate leadership coming from our elders. So in spite of all this costs, in spite of the support I have among my colleagues, senators and senators-elect, I have decided, in difference to the loyalty I have for His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, and in difference to my loyalty to my party, APC, in the interest of the unity of our party and the development of this country, in order to assist Mr. President to deliver on his promises, I have decided to respect his wish by not declaring to contest this Senate presidency. Instead, I am supporting the positioning of the party and its own position, thereby endorsing the candidature of Senator Ahmed Lawan.
Meanwhile, the senator representing Borno South in the National Assembly, Mr. Ali Ndume, says he's not given up on his decision to contest for the Senate presidency. Senator Ndume says he is not ruffled by Senator Goje's decision to step down for Senator Lawan, who is the consensus candidate of his party, the All Progressives Congress. He insists that he is standing for the truth and practice of true democracy.
I've said this several times. I'm contesting based on my conviction, one, and I believe that when you have the number, we do the number. So when Goje said he's supporting Lawan, now I have -1. But I still have the number. When I count, I still get the number. Besides, I'm doing something that is very, very important for democracy. Democracy cannot thrive, or there is no democracy without election. People should be allowed to elect whoever they want as a leader. It's very, very important. All those people that are trying to bring in this imposition are not doing that in the interest of the country, in even themselves. Because if there was imposition, those that are trying to impose on us will not be there. The president was not imposed, the Senate chairman was not imposed, there was election, there is no provision for imposition in democracy, and that's why part of what I'm doing is to stand for democracy, stand for what is right, and speak the truth, even if I'm alone. And I'm sure that at the end of it, history will vindicate me for standing for truth, for standing for democracy, and standing for what is right. It does not matter, because if you go into election, you either win or lose. I have this in the back of my mind. I contested for Deputy Senate President and I lost. And I believe that that was the faith of God. Now, God have not decided. God will decide on the 11th. And if God decides that it's me, then who will say no?